Good evening. Welcome to the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education regular public meeting. Today is April 28th, 2022. Please join me in the salute to the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Canales, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bowlen?
Here.
Ms. Laura?
Here.
Ms. Soriani?
Here.
Ms. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kulikowski?
Here.
Mr. Murray? Here.
Quorum is present. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome Dr. Mass for the opening comments.
Thank you, Dr. Kulikowski. Tonight, we just have yet another opportunity to celebrate our amazing students. In particular, we are focused on bowling and swimming and wrestling. So I would like to invite Mr. Ryan Miller to the mic to make presentations to these teams.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. It is always an outstanding honor to be able to recognize the achievements of our athletes. The winter is always, it feels like the winter takes forever to end, and then all of a sudden it's over, and oh my gosh, we have all these wonderful accolades that we have to talk about. And bowling was particularly exciting this year. Unfortunately, Coach Gracie can't be here, but we are looking forward to honoring Matt Reynolds. So Matt, if you can tell me to stand up. So Matt earned all Watchung Division first team honors. He averaged a 199 in bowling. So my bowling skills pretty much exist with the rails on the side, and that's how I can maybe possibly get the ball to go down there. But what was unbelievable is Matt almost single-handedly marched our team into the sectional finals by bowling 299 in the sectional tournament and becoming the state sectional champion as an individual. And that kind of dedication and that kind of work ethic and that kind of talent doesn't come along often, so congratulations on everything you've done. How many times did you hit 299?
I did once now, so I'm just 98, so getting close to 300, so close. But
So when you get there, you're going to test Coach Gracie on that?
absolutely.
Awesome. Congratulations, Matt. I think we have a resolution. Okay.
Whereas the 2021-2022 varsity bowling team had a remarkable season, advancing to the final rounds of the county tournament and earning a second place finish for the sectional tournament. And whereas Matthew Reynolds is a key part of the team advancing on February 11th, 2022, and whereas Matthew Reynolds was one pin short of a perfect game, but earned the individual sectional championship with the high series scoring 736 over 3 games. And whereas the varsity bowling team and Matthew Reynolds exhibited outstanding talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout the season and were led by Coach Ryan Grassi, this team received a well-deserved recognition from fellow students, staff, and the Scotch Plains family communities for their outstanding efforts and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved, the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and congratulates the 2021-2022 varsity bowling team, Matthew Reynolds, and their coach for the outstanding achievements and wishes them continued success in their future endeavors. Congratulations, Matthew.
I just get to stay up here and dominate the microphone. So I apologize in advance to everybody. It is an annual event that we honor our swimmers. Our swimming team continues to be one of the best in Union County, if not one of the best in the state. And it has been an honor and privilege to work with Coach Jess Holnick as she continues to be really just an outstanding role model and leader for our men and women who swim. The amount of influence and positivity that she brings is overwhelming, and it's my honor to introduce Coach Jessica Bowlen.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for honoring our athletes tonight. And I think I speak for pretty much every sport in the school. I say how great it was to actually be back competing against other teams this year. And to watch our kids at Union County Championships after missing last year, just embrace the opportunity, even though it wasn't our usual venue. They came out and they just really did a great job. County Recordsville, School Recordsville, many of our swimmers had best times that day, and it was a privilege and honor of mine to be able to join them in that journey as they were able to get back to somewhat normal competition this year. And I just want to thank them. You guys are great swimmers, which are better people, and it's really my honor and my privilege that I get to work with you. Thank you so much. All right, I'd like to call up our swimmers, please. We're missing a couple tonight, but so we have Owen Higginbotham, Aiden Tremor, and Kyle Kevizak.
Whereas the 2021-2022 varsity swim team had a remarkable season, and whereas several team members finished in the top 3 at the Union County Championship held at the Berkeley Aquatic Center February 6, 2022. And whereas the following athletes distinguished themselves in the following achievements. Julia Von Hope, first place in the 200 medley relay, second place the 400 freestyle relay, and third place in the 100 freestyle. Chloe Howell, first place 200 medley relay, second place 100 freestyle, second place freestyle relay, third place 50 freestyle relay. Lily Hughes, first place 200 medley relay, second place 100 backstroke, which is a new school record. Aislinn Mooney, second place 400 freestyle relay, third place 200 and 500 freestyle, school record in the 500 freestyle. Billy Sherratt, first place 200 medley relay, second place in the 200 individual medley, 100 butterfly and 400 freestyle relay, school record in the 200 1 meter and 100 butterfly. Corey Hay, second place 400 freestyle relay, third place in the 200 medley relay. Aiden Trenery, first place 200 freestyle, second place in the 100 backstroke and 400 freestyle relay, and third place in the 200 medley relay, seventh in the state at the Meet of Champions in the 200 iron. Bradley Frank, third place in the 200 medley. Owen Higginbotham, first place, 500 freestyle, second place in the 400 freestyle relay, third place in the 100 butterfly and 200 medley relay. Kyle Kevizak, second place in the 400 freestyle relay. And whereas the varsity swim teams and these individuals exhibited outstanding talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout the season, they were led by Coach Jessica Holnick and Assistant Coach Madeline Caladine and volunteer coach Judith Sharkey. This team received the well-deserved recognition from fellow students, staff, and Scotch Plains family communities for their outstanding efforts and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and congratulates the 2021-2022 varsity swim teams, these individuals, and their coaches for their outstanding achievements and wishes them continued success in all their future endeavors. Congratulations.
Okay, last one for this round. Our wrestling team had another remarkable season this year, and they're led by Coach Fabiano, who regretfully can't be here, and the young men that we're honoring from wrestling are on the lacrosse field right now, so they felt like they should actually compete on that team too, and we gave them a little pass on it because the team's ranked 7th in the state and we're on a great win streak, so I guess we should keep them together and let them keep going. But we had 4 of our athletes, Giacomo Perez, Ben Root, Anthony Robinson, and Robert Lerner, all place in our county tournament. The county wrestling tournament is usually held at Union High School. And aside from coming out of the pandemic and having to get into wrestling again, which Dr. Nasty loved every minute of, Union High School got damaged in Hurricane Ida, and we didn't have a site. So we had to go to a new location on a new date, and these young men just overcame it. And it was outstanding and wonderful to watch them compete and to watch them get through all of the ups and downs that wrestling had to offer this year. Swimming was in a different facility. Bowling didn't though, which was great. Bowling stayed right where they were supposed to be, which was good. So we're very proud of these young men that accomplished coming in third place, and then Robert Lerner, who came in first place and won his weight class, and Anthony Robinson, who came in second place in his weight class. So they had a great year. Wrestling also capped it off by upsetting the number 2 seed in the state tournament. So they beat Woodbridge at Woodbridge High School. And the state of New Jersey does a really cool thing with wrestling. When you're the top seed, you get to host it. And then when you lose, you get to watch the other team who beat you compete in your gym against another team. So it was also nice because I grew up in Woodbridge Township and I live in Colonia. So to be able to watch my school have a major upset against Woodbridge High School across town was just a little extra. So I loved it. Mark Fabiano has been our head wrestling coach, and Mark is a remarkable, I want to say young man, he's not so young anymore, but he's younger than I am, so that makes him young. We have anywhere between 50 and 70 wrestlers in our program. The average size team in Union County is about 30 kids. And Mark, along with John Scholes and Jesse Martinez, bring all of these young men in, whether they have experience or not. They introduce them to the sport of wrestling. They build great character, and they build great athletes. Mark encouraged 6 young ladies to come out and compete as wrestlers this year. And what Mark is doing is exactly what we want in our educating coaches. He's building better people through sport, and I couldn't be more proud of him. This year, Mark earned his 100th victory against JFK. JFK is also in Woodbridge Township, so just the beatings continue for my hometown, and I couldn't be prouder. But Mark earned his 100th win, so we were able to get him a plaque to commemorate his 100th win, and I can't wait to give it to him when I see him. So thanks for hearing me ramble and brag about all of the success of all of our athletes, and I can't wait to be here again when we talk about track and lacrosse and volleyball and soccer in the fall, and football, and everywhere else. So thank you so very much.
Whereas the 2021-2022 varsity wrestling team had a remarkable season that concluded with an upset win over Woodbridge at the NJSIAA sectional tournament held at Woodbridge High School on February 7th, 2022. And whereas they distinguished themselves with the following achievements. Giacomo Perez, 3rd place, 215-pound weight class at the Union County tournament. Benjamin Root, 3rd place, 138-pound weight class at the Union County tournament. Anthony Robinson, 2nd place at the Union County tournament and district tournament, 160-pound weight class. And Robert Lerner, county champ, 190-pound weight class at the Union County tournament. And whereas the varsity wrestling team and these individuals exhibited outstanding talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout the season, and were led by head coach Mark Fabiano and assistant coaches John Schultz and Jesse Martinez. This team received well-deserved recognition from fellow students, staff, and Scotch Plains family communities for their outstanding efforts and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and congratulates the 2021-2022 wrestling team and these individuals and their coaches for their outstanding achievements and wishes them continued success in all their endeavors. Congratulations to the wrestlers. Wait, there's more.
So I have the pleasure of reading Mr. Fabiano's resolution. Unfortunately for him that he's not here, because I spent a good couple hours last night getting ready to really roast him in front of everybody and embarrass him. So fortunately for him, he's not here. But I will say it is an honor to read this resolution, and I feel it's really nice for me because I actually had the opportunity to coach with Mr. Fabiano in another sport. So I know the dedication, the hours he puts in, and what coaching really means to him, and how he likes to bring, all of the lessons to these athletes and help them grow. So, whereas the 2021-2022 varsity wrestling team had a remarkable season that concluded with an upset win over Woodbridge at the NJSIAA sectional tournament held in Woodbridge High School on February 7, 2022. And whereas Mark Fabiano was a 2005 graduate of Scotch Plains Fanwood High School, who was a member of the football, wrestling, and track teams. And whereas Mark Fabiano placed 8th in the New Jersey State Wrestling Tournament in 2005 and had an outstanding football career at the College of New Jersey, inclusive of being a 2-time College Scholar Athlete Award winner. And whereas head coach Mark Fabiano earned his 100th career coaching win on February 5th, 2022 over JFK Islam. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotts Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and congratulates head coach Mark Fabiano for his outstanding achievements and wishes him continued success in all future endeavors.
Well, thank you all for coming out for this recognition ceremony for our bowlers, our wrestlers, and our swimmers. Yeah, we are going to do the picture. That's where I was just going to ask everybody that is here that was presented with the resolution. Please come forward for the picture. We have 4 resolutions read. Can I have a motion to accept the resolutions as read? Thank you, Mrs. Winkler, seconded by Mrs. Boroff. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, everyone. At this time, can I have a motion to go into exec? Thank you, Amy and Amy. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we're in executive session. Good night, everyone. Good evening. We already started our meeting out when we were recognizing the wrestler and bowling and swim teams. And we have already said our pledge of allegiance and did our roll call. In exec tonight, we spoke about personnel report. We spoke about head review, suspension and detention report, and the legal status report. At this time, we have some additions to the agenda. 18 BUS, the ARP Homeless 2 grant. 19 BUS, the NASA Girls grant. 20 BUS, room service vehicle drivers. And 1 TOL board policies. Next, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Mast.
Thank you, Dr. Kulakowski. The good news is that we have 38 more days to wake up and enjoy the 21-22 school year. This has been an amazing year of accomplishments. Our students are thriving in musical performances, on sports fields and STEM challenges, in the arts, and in every aspect of the classrooms. Tonight we are finalizing our budget to support our school our schools and our strategic plan moving forward. We're going to hear about work from our arts integration specialists and some of our arts teachers. And we're also going to learn why third graders are waltzing home from school these days. So thank you to the community for your ongoing support, for all that you do and help us do for our kids.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Business Administrator's Report, Mr. Canales.
And do not have a report this evening on Mr. Jones's behalf? No.
Board President's announcement, the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with these provisions, the Act of the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education has caused notice to have this meeting published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 512 Cedar Street, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Such notice was also provided in written notice form and forwarded to the Times, now known as the Union County Hawk, the Star Ledger, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, and the Borough Clerk of Falmouth, and the revised annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted September 1st of 2021. This evening, we will have an instructional update on arts integration presentation and the public hearing on the 2022-2023 school budget. First, we will have the public hearing on the 2022-2023 school budget.
At this time, are there any comments from the board on the budget?
Any board members have comments?
We've had time to discuss it in our various committees, and
and I would just add to that I'm really proud of this district that over many years we have really tried to be very responsible about our budget to make sure that we have wonderful arts like we're going to hear about tonight, and programs and support our staff and our strategic plans. And so I thank you to everyone who was involved. I know it's a very work-intensive process to put the budget together, and I know Mr. Jenkins isn't here, but thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Soriani. Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Any other comments? Mr. Council, looks like those are the only comments from the board at this time.
Yes, sir. And do we have any comments from the public?
If you want to come up from the public to make a comment, please come up to the podium
on the budget.
on the proposed 2022-2023 school budget only. Speakers need to state the full name and town in which they reside. But only comments on the budget at this time. So if you'd like to make a comment about the budget, please come up to the podium now. Seeing no one, we'll move on to the adoption of the school budget. Can I have a motion to accept the budget as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there any question or further discussion? Mr. Canals, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Laura?
Yes.
Ms. Soriani?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Sorry.
Sorry, Dr. Gutowski.
Thank you, Mr. Canales. Okay, so our budget has been accepted. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the hard work putting it together and for the committee work that went into that as well. So at this time, then we'll move on from the budget to the arts integration presentation. And for that, I believe board members need to take seats into the audience so that we can observe what's going to be going on.
And we'd like to introduce Barbara Prestridge to lead the program for tonight.
No, not yet. Oh, I'm just Well, thank you for having us here tonight. We are extra happy because we have 3 budding new filmmakers with us who will present to you. So within this silent film project, it's been a wonderful integration of history, technology, storytelling, music, acting, and a multitude of filmmaking techniques and skills learned and used every day in the project with the students. This silent film initiative has been presented to 6th grade general music classes. We wanted to look at the history behind the earliest films and come to appreciate those 100-year-old films as viable and brilliant examples of filmmaking. We focused primarily on the works of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, and we looked at their different techniques of storytelling through their use of foreshadowing, gags, stunts, facial expressions, and, well, Keaton, he's more like no facial expression, but that was notable, and body language of all the actors. So you may wonder why we did silent movies in a music class. The answer is that these films aren't truly silent. There is music accompanying the silent films, and the storytelling within that musical line is vital to deepening the viewer's understanding of the story. So our classes that were filled with musicians could really appreciate that. So beyond the historical samples of silent films, we also looked at films recently created by students in the International Youth Silent Film Festivals. This competition has existed for about 12 years, and these teenagers from around the world have created terrific films. This competition works in one dramatically different way from the 100-year-old films, and that difference lies in the filmmaker's approach to the music. The older films, they finished filming and editing, and then they composed the music to support the storyline. In this contemporary competition, the students are given a piece of music from which their entire storyline is built. So they're starting with the music first. The pace, the energy, and the drama of the music is what drives the story. Seeing those competition films then led to the creation of our own students' films. So tonight we have 3 students and their films with us. And our students were given 3 90-second pieces of music, and then they chose one piece to write their story from. They wrote their stories, they drew visual storyboards, and then shot and edited their films based on the musical piece that they chose. Our 3 students worked with different filming techniques. You will see that one is in traditional black and white, one is in color, and the 3rd student chose to mix it up a bit. You'll also hear that 2 of the students chose the same piece of music, and yet you'll find that their stories are very different, but both fit into the musical line perfectly. So to help explain part of this process, let's call up Nick Ellis, Nettingham 7th and 8th grade instrumental teacher and a general music teacher.
Growing up in Scotch Plains and going through the SPF school system, I always recognized this town as being a great community. Now that I'm teaching here, I see even more that SPF is a great community of families. After watching the students' silent films and hearing about the process of the students' filmmaking, I heard about how their creations often became a family affair. Siblings were actors, parents turned into cameramen, and pets became featured stunt creatures. Parents have spoken about how enjoyable it was to be creative and to connect more with their children through this fun and challenging project. These films help confirm that family involvement is present and it is valued. Our students learn from their family collaborations, and that's what will help to continue to make SPF a great community. Cameron Glynn was one of my general music students, and I would like to celebrate the humor and originality in his film. Cameron?
We ad-lib now. That's what actors do. Filmmakers taking that first.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Cameron Glenn, and I'm from Denningham in Mr. Ellis's general music class. My idea for my sound film first came when I was changing my bedside clock for daylight savings time. I also got inspired by the famous filmmaker Buster Keaton, and in one of his films, he was changing the elevator dial, which changed the elevator's floor. I thought that if you change the hand of the clock, it would change your time. The most interesting thing that I thought I included in my film is in the part where I changed clothes. I put tape on the floor around my feet so I could mark the spot so it could actually look like I was changing clothes. The most awesome in the part where I was changing clothes, I used a strategy that most famous filmmakers use. Is called a jump cut, where you change the scene really fast and little to nothing happens in between that scene change. The most challenging thing was in the part where I go back under the sheet back to 1920. Whenever I would go under, the sheet would fall back down and block my mom from getting to it. And then the camera would just be showing the sheet and I couldn't see me going back too. So I taped a string to the bottom of the curtain and to the ceiling, making a pulley system. So I had my dad pull that and the sheet would go up so that my mom could go through and I was going through. I really do hope you like my silent film. Thanks for your time. Have a good evening.
Stay here and he's sitting back there.
Jenkins from Nettingham Middle School. I teach chorus grades 5 through 8 and 5th and 6th grade general music. I am excited to share some students' creations today that showcase their creativity. During the 6th grade silent movie unit, we explored how music affects our experiences. I so enjoyed watching the students explore their imaginations and help them bring their ideas and fruitions to life through using iMovie. During lockdown of 2020, people used various modes of expression to manage their feelings. Through art, we discover our humanity that helps us navigate this crazy world. With the new addition of one-to-one iPads, students have a world of possibility in their hands. However, technology is only as creative as our imaginations. Music and art projects such as the Silent Movie Unit give students the opportunity and guidance to develop their imaginations and give them flight. I enjoy the process of connecting with them during the process of creating and bringing their ideas to life. I received positive feedback from the first semester students, with almost all 90 recommending to continue doing this project for the second semester and into the future. Tonight, you will hear from Emily Thomas, a 6th grader at Nettingham Middle School, a wonderful and thoughtful person. Enjoy her story. Emily?
Hello, my name is Emily Thomas. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm so thankful that I have the opportunity to show you my side of movie. I'm going to tell you a bit about my main inspiration, my process, and my final thoughts about my movie. My main inspiration for this project is my love for ice cream and constant hunger for sweets. I love to snack on things, and the thought of ice cream pops into mind. I thought about all the potential there was and how much I could put into a short, tiny second. My process was very slow at first. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how I wanted my movie to go. Finally, I scribbled something down in the sketchbook. A couple days later, we started to film. My brother reluctantly filmed me and gave me some very useful suggestions. My mom also helped me film. She also acted out her part and gave me some awesome feedback and suggestions. However, this did take a little bit of time, and all great things come from time and hunger. In the beginning, you might have noticed that it was still light outside. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. However, at about the halfway point, you may have noticed that it was no longer light outside, but nighttime. During this period of time, all I could do was wait, and I'm not very good at waiting. After holding the film, it was crunched. I only had one more day left to edit it all down, but luckily I won with the edit. With only a few minutes of spare, I finished it and submitted it to the new classroom. Looking back, I had a great time coming up with the idea, filming and acting, editing it all down to the chaos it is today. a really day. I hope that next year I will be able to look into the classroom and see others making their own special little moments. Thank you again for having me and a very festive evening.
Hi, my name is Trey Shore. I teach 5th and 6th grade band and 6th grade general music at Terrell Middle School. And one of the joys of my life, one of the absolute joys of my life, is getting to laugh with the students here at Scotch Plains and Fanwood. Like I said, I teach 5th and 6th grade at Terrell. I'm also lucky enough to work with the rep theater students at SPFHS. And across the board, every student I talk to, they just have this very unique and very different sense of humor that is infectious and that grabs you and pulls you in and kind of brings you into the, for lack of a better word, the weirdness. And it's something that I embrace wholeheartedly. It just brings me so much joy. And I think, especially in these last couple of years, as we went through lockdown and these difficult times, one of the most healing things that we've been able to do in my classes and with my students is just laugh together. So when we had the opportunity to do this project and as we were developing it, it was all systems go. We had to do it. And I think one of the real benefits of this project is allowing the kids and kind of forcing the kids to express that sense of humor in a new way, in a way without words, in a way without text, even a lot of the time. And so learning about Charlie Chaplin, learning about Buster Keaton, and how they told those jokes in a way that kids today would not tell those jokes, or would not tell jokes, or not communicate to people, is an awesome thing. And I think the student that we have representing us at Terrell exemplifies that very well. So Sean Bowlen is here, a 6th grader from Terrell. Sean and I got to know each other very well over the first semester of this year because on general music days we would see each other 3 times throughout the day for 3 full periods. We'd see each other for general music, for clarinet lessons, and then for band. So Sean and I had a lot of opportunities to laugh together, and it was awesome to get to know his sense of humor. And I think you'll really see that in his movie. It's very relatable. Even as an adult, I find myself relating to the subject matter, especially the big scare at the end. I think it's really cool that he took a piece of music that Ms. Prestridge and I kind of conceived as being a horror sort of soundtrack, and Sean took it in a comedic direction. So without further ado, let's bring up Sean Bowlen to introduce his film. Or do you want to do the film first, Sean? What do you think? Film first? Film first.
I always feel like Sundays are the worst day of the week because there's always that moment when you think about the fact that you're going to have to wake up early and go to school the next morning. I felt like this had to be shown from my side of how I feel, like everything goes sideways on Sunday. like Sundays and Saturdays because they're weekend. But I feel like they never actually go as planned. It was hard to make a normal film for me because I felt like it took longer to jot things down and play everything had to go along with the song. I also felt it was harder due to the fact that I didn't have much planned out because I didn't think of ideas to feel like talking. So I remember sound films we watched were just long and having the most random things happen. I also feel like I couldn't take inspiration from a lot of films because I'm not now hosting these right now are not silent and express plots through speech and action. I think the part that I enjoyed the most was when I did the singing part towards the end because it felt so awkward and weird while also adding to the Sunday school theme. In this scene, I looked over the night when a strange figure walks toward me when I woke up. It felt awkward because I see clips like that and those weird shooting leaves that just popped out of nowhere. My friend Jaden helped with a lot of the film and we shared ideas throughout the plotting and the recording. I felt like with the music I was given, I had to sort of make a joke about something that was in my mind. The music followed music from a haunted house, which is made to be scary, which compares to how Sundays. I think that I need to have some of the classic things like slipping, having too many one-item snacks, and having to do some action to make some things about what happens to be doing. Overall, this is really fun to make, and I'm glad I took the time for it.
was great. I really appreciate all three, and thank you for bringing everybody out in this restaurant. Dawn, Emily, everything was just great. I mean, I liked all three. They were so individual. The music was great. Love the ice cream now. Get to eat dinner early at 6:30. It was excellent, and I'm so glad that everybody that's here gets the opportunity to see what's going on in our classrooms and how much fun learning can be. Any other board members have any other comments?
I just want to say, I grew up watching silent films and enjoying them on Sunday. You all did a phenomenal job, really brought me back. Thank you.
I would like to say that that was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed that. And I wish they were longer. They were too short.
I wanted to thank you too. I really appreciate the collaboration with our art specialists and the teachers, and I think we have future filmmakers. And I'm wishing you could do films for us at every meeting. It's really awesome. Your sense of humor and the way you thought out things and had surprises and all was just really great. So thank you for sharing.
And Cameron, you were so brave to go first. Mrs. Winkler.
I want to thank you for bringing your films and sharing them with us tonight. It's always exciting for us to have students here for our board meetings and to be able to see the work that you're doing and the projects that you're working on and what you're learning. But I want to thank you because I really appreciate that you were here. Not only did you allow us to see the work that you've been doing, but you came and told us a little bit about it. And I really appreciate what you're talking about.
And it's memorable here, but also you took time with your families to collaborate, to do it, to have this memory to preserve for years to come, to enjoy, not only as a school project, but something you did as a family.
Do we have a camera person?
Yes. I think if we could ask all of the students and teachers to come forward so we could memorialize this evening in your presentations. To come to the center and
My stand from camera. You have a better camera than I do.
Yes, so thank you to our teachers and our students and our families for coming out to share that work. That was incredible. And Mrs. Prestridge, if you could also just tell us about the waltzing that's going on.
This was an exciting week filled with dance, as we had, we decided that if we're going to keep building and getting excited about the Cinderella opera, that all third graders should learn the waltz. So we had a grant that enabled us to bring the Modern Academy of Fine Arts, which is right here on 2nd Street. They came for the week and they worked in all 5 elementary schools. We had 4 instructors and 8 student assistants. And these are children that are still within the district. They're in middle school and high school. They went back to their elementary school, their alma maters, and worked as assistants and helped their younger students. And so they spent the week teaching at all 5 elementary schools, and by the end of tomorrow we will have taught 430 third graders how to waltz. And it was really fun all week. So if you see children waltzing around town, you will know they're just getting ready to go to the ball with Cinderella.
If Sean and Emily and Cameron can come up here, we have a little something for you. Showing us who you know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't worry, parents, it's not snacks.
No, not cookies, sorry. It's too late.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for the interracial party program. At this time, we move on to public comments. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to do this.
I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much for supporting. I don't know.
Stop now.
But I gave your name in the town, which was
Suzanne Lynn, I do just want to say thank you for support, and to all the teachers supporting the arts. I know that, as a teacher myself, it can get hard with the budget and everything, and I find it really, I'm just very proud as a parent to be part of this town, and to know that we are getting supported in arts like this is really very important. Very important. It's something the kids, and as you can see with the families, it really connects everybody, and that's things that you can miss out in the important, very important subjects that we do also. The arts, the kids love it, and it brings them to school, and it's an outlet that they need from doing other things. So I just wanted to point that out, and thank you very much.
Thank you. so in accordance with the Scotch Plains Family Public School Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes. For public comments, maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Please speak slowly and clearly with your full name and the town in which you reside. Remember, please, board members cannot respond regarding concerns of individual students or staff members. Such matters need to be addressed at the superintendent's office. So if anybody else wants to make a public comment, please come up to the podium at this time.
John Denning, Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I want each of you to think back to your own children at the ages of 7 and 10. Just a little younger, actually, than the kids that were up here tonight. Now, some of you might have to turn back the clock quite a bit, but we just saw a time machine, so we can use that. But as a parent, you'll have no trouble remembering the deep and unyielding need you had to protect your children, both physically, emotionally, and of course to protect their innocence, not asking them to carry a load that is too heavy for them. Think about who you would allow to talk to them about their bodies and sex. What level of trust would you need to have in that person? Now, I believe teachers are ordinary people. They are just as likely as anyone else to be good or bad, and just as likely to want to insert their own feelings into a discussion with a captive audience. Parents have only a limited opportunity to truly get to know their teachers. A few emails, back to school night, and parent-teacher conferences. Compare that to the threshold you would set to allow someone to talk to their child about gender or sex or their bodies. You would never cross that threshold, and the only remedy is to stay away from these topics, where the district really has no right to be discussing them with minors. Anything the district is required to offer by law must be restricted to the minimum necessary to satisfy the law. And for what is taught, there must be complete freedom to opt out, and for those who do not opt out, complete transparency and accountability is a must. Public access to the curriculum, lesson plan, and teaching resources. You have nothing to hide, right? So why not put it out there? Now, in the past, I've asked this board to be accountable for what took place in the classroom. Not a specific classroom, but classrooms in multiple schools. And I was told, we don't know if they teach that in the classroom, but we tell them not to. This attitude of indifference to your responsibility cannot prevail in this issue. Our children are too important. I ask you tonight, what I'm asking you tonight is when it comes to teaching and discussing sex, gender, and children's bodies, will the board members take responsibility and be accountable to provide complete transparency and to protect our children from activism in the classroom? So I ask Ms. Bauer, will you be responsible and accountable? Ms. Boral? Ms. Brody, Dr. Kalikowski, Mr. Murray, Ms. Sirianni, Ms. Williams, Ms. Winkler. Will any of you be accountable? Power wielded without accountability is the enemy of freedom and is terrifying to those subject to that power. If you cannot promise accountability, why should any parent entrust their children to the care of this district? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Bowlen. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing no one, then we'll close this portion of the meeting.
Just before I come up, please.
I have nothing else.
So thank you, Mr. Mooney. You have published the article or the letter that Dr. McGarry has sent out to her parents regarding the state requirements on the new health curriculum and all of the things that Mr. Denning is raising, that type of transparency, that type of partnership with parents, the sensitivity around those topics are clearly addressed in that letter. So, Mr. Denning, I'm happy to say we're in full agreement, and it not only is that, it's also in the state code.
So every lesson plan?
No.
Well, I'll come back up.
No, it's closed. You can come to the next public session.
That's fine.
Come on.
It's open for 15 minutes, right?
No, it's closed. There's nobody else came up. She closed the session. You can come to the next public speaking session at the end of the meeting.
Thanks a lot. Well, appreciate it.
Committee reports.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
Are there any committee reports?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
All right, mine are quick ones. I'll just do them both, if that's okay.
Yes.
Community relations meeting. This was basically a catch-up meeting with the new business. The discussions included regarding the March meeting in the district. We're on our third, at the time, we were on our third newsletter, and so far we think it's been a great success. With more discussion on the district logo to have in place for September school start. We discussed the inclusion of the student board member and the timing of when that will start. And that there is a culture change, starting where the staff and administration are basically kind of changing how they think about sharing good news. So they're thinking more about what can I tweet, how that might be good, so on and so forth. So it's a process, and it's on its way. So that's community relations, finance. Christopher and James had done a lot of work on creative ideas on how, regarding cost mitigation for some of our highest expenses, such as busing. And they are working with Westfield on special ed busing, and to share that where it makes sense to do so. Modifications in which vendor handles the special ed bus routes and changing those vendors, and using Energy for America for automatic regulation of the HVAC unit. We already do have something like that, but this is much more robust and efficient. And there really is no action at this time. And we also discussed a couple of capital project items, such as flood doors at the high school and at the middle school. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs.
Any
Brody.
questions?
Mrs. Sarmiento, you do it?
No, Mrs. Winkler's doing curriculum tonight.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Mrs. Brody, you ready for that? So the curriculum committee met on April 12th. We talked about some of the planning for the summer curriculum development work. Dr. McGarry presented an overview of the curriculum development work plan for the summer. World languages work includes revising 6th to 8th grades French, Italian, and Spanish curriculum in accordance with the 2020 standards. ESL curriculum development will be K-5 supplements and supports for English language arts. English language arts work will be focused on K-5 pacing guides, 6th, 9th, and 11th grades, and writing workshop. Science and instructional technology work will focus on the K-5 pacing guides and also on the new robotics course at the high school. Mathematics work includes K-5 pacing guides, also a deeper dive into 8th grade Algebra 1, as we've seen an increase in the number of students needing to take Algebra 1 in 9th grade, which can be a gatekeeper and a roadblock to equity. Arts curriculum development will focus on completing revisions to the 2020 standards. Social studies work will include newly required half year of civics, which will become an 8th grade course, as well as revisions to all guides in accordance with the 2020 standards. Health and PE work will be focused on revisions to all guides based on the 2020 standards. We also talked about summer learning acceleration programs that are funded through the American Rescue Plan, which may include a teacher's college unit of study that we don't typically use during the school year. That's like a mystery unit. So more fun for the summer program in grades 2 to 5. This will likely be a late afternoon program once a week to accommodate students who may be attending camp earlier in the day. There will also be programming for incoming 8th and 9th grade students that focuses on Algebra 1, as well as programming to support our English language learners and, of course, our creative summer workshops. We also spoke about Flex PD, the professional development opportunities throughout the year, adding up to 5.5 hours of professional development credits, which would then exempt our staff from having to attend the June professional development day that happens after the school year ends for the students. Our calendar for next year includes 3 days of professional development that are all occurring prior to June, so there will be no more need for the Flex PD and it will not be offered. Dr. Gary gave us a list of the professional development offerings from this school year, so we can see the variety. A small sampling of these titles, it is a long list, but a small sampling of these titles includes several Google certified educator cohorts, the magic of choice, using student choice to challenge and engage readers and writers, how to support your anxious student, the arts and science of birds, using ArcGIS to support geospatial-based learning, and unpacking standards for mathematical practice. The next meeting of the curriculum committee will be Tuesday, May 3rd.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any questions for Mrs. Winkler? Are there any other reports? Mrs. Williams, please go ahead.
Thank you. On April 26th, the Wellness and Equity Committee met, and we discussed reviewing calendar practices for the following school year, and we will be forming a task force to look at the school calendar to recognize and observe all dates. And that concludes my report. Our next meeting is May 26th. Thank you.
May 26th?
Yes.
You're welcome. Any questions? Any
Yeah.
other reports?
So summer projects, we talked about facilities committee meeting on April 11th. We talked about summer projects and process and what projects were being anticipated. Flood doors with Ms. Brody had already spoken about. We talked about potential new demographer for the district. Changes to some locations for the summer programs. Paver work, pavers at Terrell Middle School during getting started. Concrete work around the district, and the facility condition assessment from Due Solutions report is being reviewed and then will be presented once that review is completed. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. There's no other committee reports, then we'll move on to letters from the board. 4 emails were received from the public, and the appropriate administrator responded. Board motions, superintendent's report.
1S is the HIB cases asking for, that we discussed in executive session on March 24th. We move that board.
So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Any question or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
And 2S is asking for approval for the field trips.
And motion will be Mrs. Winkler.
Second.
Mrs. Soriani. Any question or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And asking for the board approval for the personnel items that we discussed in exec this evening.
So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Moore. Second was Mrs. Brody. Any question or discussion? Mr. Canales, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Laurel,
Yes.
Mrs. Brody,
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell, Mrs. Soriani,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Winkler,
Yes.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
and Dr. Polkowski.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Canales. Thank you, Mr. Master. Business report, that brings you right back, Mr. Canales.
Sure, we're going to block all of our business motions in one.
Okay.
In BUS 1, we have the staffing reimbursements dated April 28th. In BUS 2, we have the Board of Education approving our non-public school security grants for Union Catholic High School. BUS 3 is being pulled and moved probably to May. BUS 4 is the approval of a parent contract for student transportation. BUS 5 is being pulled and moved to May. BUS 6 is our intent to collaborate with the African Regional Event of Education of Homeless Children and Youth Project for 22-23. BUS 7 is being pulled and moved to May. BUS 8 is the result of our budget that we approved earlier and the associated tax payments from both of our communities. BUS 9 is a motion to appoint a Clean Inventory LLC to perform our fixed asset inventory. BUS 10 is our athletic bids through Ed Data Services. BUS 11 is our NJ-SIG grant application, safety application grant. BUS 12 is our agreement with First Children for therapeutic services for the 22-23 school year. BUS 13 are our fire drills. BUS 14, 15, and 16 are our typical monthly financial reports. BUS 17 is a related service provider that we are approving. BUS 18 is the approval of the ARP Homeless 2 grant that we will be joining the Essex County Special Services School District Consortium. BUS 19 is the acceptance of the NASA Girls Grant. And finally is BUS 20, where we are approving 3 individuals to drive our food delivery truck in district.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Canales. Anybody want to make a motion for those business items? Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Is there a second? Second. Mrs. Williams, thank you. Any question or discussion on those items? Mrs. Soriano?
I know we're not voting on food service, but are we looking into additional vendors besides Onion?
At this time, that we are not. We are working on a provision related to a potential school store. And some possibility to get before you guys for approval.
Any other question or discussion?
I think in addition to that, and please correct me, James, but Pontonian also offers different menus that we haven't explored in the past.
Oh, without a doubt, while we're not looking at different vendors, we are looking at expanding the offer. We have already tried with some multicultural events that we've done recently. We had sushi at Nettingham. I think we've had some other ethnic cuisine that's been offered in conjunction with celebrating some of those holidays in a different culture. So we are definitely working with them, and we do expect a more robust offer moving forward.
We have a motion, and we need a second. Let's have a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Canales. Board policies, Mrs. Whitmer?
Yeah, we got policies. We got lots of policies now. So I'd like to move that the board approve first reading of the following board policies. P2415.05, student surveys, analysis, evaluations, examinations, testing, or treatment. P2431.4, prevention and treatment of sports-related concussion and head injuries. R2431.4, prevention and treatment of sports-related concussion and head injuries. R2460.30, additional and compensatory special education and related services. P2622, student assessment, as well as R2622, student assessment. P3233, political activities. P5460, high school graduation. P5541, anti-hazing. P8465, bias crimes and bias-related acts. R8465, bias crimes and bias-related acts. P9560, administration of school surveys. Bylaw 0143.2, student representatives to the Board of Education. P8420, emergency and crisis situations. P5512, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, as well as a use of therapy dogs in schools policy that is new for us. What I want to give you an hour-long report on all of this, you've all received it, but what I will say is that almost all of these changes to the existing policies and new policies that were added are mandated by the state based on laws that were recently passed. Because I feel like there's one or two here that kind of based on
political activities. That was not,
I'm sorry?
that was not a mandated one.
That was not.
Does anyone have that? And it's been brought to the board. I don't see an M after that one.
That one is mandated. It's definitely mandated. Yeah, the political activities, the changes were recommended based on current case law.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. So Mrs. Winkler made the motion. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Any question or discussion on these policies? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. And the policy committee. Is there any new board business? Seeing none, other board business, liaison reports? Mrs. Moore.
I attended the CPAD meeting, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Group. We'll be hosting monthly meetings now. The next one is May 23rd, FYI, and it's virtual. But we had a great conversation and overview of what the agenda for the future going forward will look like. They've really been working hard to put parent representation in each school and to have each school have a point person for CPAP. I highly recommend, if it's something that you are interested in, if you want a network of people, to reach out to your school principal to find out who your CPAP rep is and to get involved. So again, the next meeting is May 23rd, it's virtual.
Thank you, Mrs. Moore. Any questions? Any other liaison reports?
Coalition of Schools.
All right, Mrs. Brown.
Met with a bipartisan group of freshman legislators yesterday and talking with them about educational issues. The annual meeting is coming up on May 25th. It will be the first time it's been in person since the pandemic. So the focus of that is going to be on teacher shortage. And we have a number of speakers who are going to be there representing the New Jersey Colleges of Teacher Education, legislators, and so forth. So it should be a good meeting, and I think a number of us are signed up to attend. And maybe people that don't think it's
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. Any other questions of Mrs. Brown? Thank you. Any other liaison report? Seeing none, we'll close that and move on to OBB2, request to attend workshops or workshop reports.
Just an FYI, on May 14th, I will be attending the delegate for NJSBA in Westminster.
The delegate assembly? That one's in person again now too, huh?
It's in person. At 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
We don't have any traffic then. It's a nice ride down there.
No report at this time. This very symposium the last couple of days, School Boards Association having, I will have reports on the sessions that I attended.
Okay, we'll move forward to that at our next meeting. Thank you. All right, and then that brings us to 3 OBB. We're going to be looking for a motion for adoption of the proclamation as designated May 2 through 6 as Teacher Appreciation Week.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Second. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Soriani. Any question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I don't think so. Motion carries. 4 OBB. Can I have a motion
to adopt the resolution for the Scotch Plains Family School District retirees as completed by their administrators. So Mrs. Winkler has the motion, the second. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Any question or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Didn't think so. Motion carries. 5 OED, move that the Board of Education approves the following scheduled meeting dates for the 2022-2023 school year. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to look these dates over. It's very similar to this year's meeting dates. Can I have a motion?
So,
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Is there a second? Second. Mrs. Ward, thank you. Any question or discussion regarding these dates or the special meetings? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries. And then we have to approve minutes for March 10th, of the executive session and the open agenda meeting, March 24th, executive session and the public board meeting. So, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Borough. Is there any question or discussion about these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained?
I'm abstaining.
Mr. Murray's abstaining from both March 10th and 24th. And Mrs. Brody is abstaining from March 10th and 24th. Motion carries. And that brings us to our second and final public comment portion. In accordance with the Scotch Plains Fairwood Public School Bylaws 0164-0165, the meeting shall be open for up to 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please speak slowly and clearly, stating your full name and the town in which you reside. Please come up to the podium. Board members cannot respond regarding concerns with individual students or staff members, and such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So if you'd like to make a public comment, this is the time to please come to the podium and have your say.
Good evening. Good citizen, Scott Plain.
Good evening.
Good citizen.
That's your name?
Yeah. I would like to ask a question, Dr. McGarry, regarding your email sent on Monday. When will we know about the process of opting out and the specific lesson plans? Obviously, there might be levels for some people who might agree with some things, might not agree with all things, don't want to opt out entirely, but do want to opt out of certain aspects of what you guys want to teach. So I'm wondering, there was a mention about a stakeholders meeting. When is that, and who are the stakeholders?
Sir, before we get to your questions, I do want to say just the process of the board is, if you have anything else to say, since you have 3 minutes, if you can say your questions, but if there's anything you want to say, rather than back and forth, take the time, make whatever comments you have, the board will respond to everything at the end.
No, that's fair. I can follow up on email if I have any further questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
Those are really the only questions I wanted.
Okay, and that's fine. I just wanted to make sure, because, you know, some people sometimes wait and are expecting an immediate response. We just want to make sure that we're not cutting you off or stepping over you. And to answer your last question, absolutely, you don't have to wait for these meetings to ask questions, especially the administration. You can always email them or call their office.
Understood.
And so just to clarify, those are your questions. You have it.
Those are my only questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Good citizen.
Set? John Denning, Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
So this may be unfamiliar territory for me. Dr. Massey and I seem to agree. So I read your letter. I read the letter that was put out. I don't think it said what I was asking for. Does it promise that basically there will be no conversations taking place with our kids where the parents do not know well in advance the occasion of that conversation and the content of it, Are you, as superintendent, administrator of this school, responsible for enforcing policy, saying that parents will have access to the full curriculum, all teacher resources, all lesson plan, and that none of these conversations will be taking place without the parents' knowledge? And if you can't say that, why not? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions, Mr. Rennie. Is there any other person which likes to make a public comment at this time? Seeing no one, we'll close this portion of the meeting. And we move on to the upcoming scheduled meeting, which is May 10th. Open agenda meeting here at the administrative building. May 19th, regular public meeting, also held at the administrative building. Any remarks for the good of the order?
Really quick, I just want to again just say how impressive that silent film presentation was and how amazing those students were and how powerful it is to see the arts integration that is taking place in our district, and I'm really proud of that. So thank you to those students who hopefully are not eating ice cream and are getting ready for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Bora. Any other remarks for the good of the order? Mrs. Bauer?
I would just like to say, I know we've had to pass the resolution, but I know that we all really appreciate our teachers. I know there'll be a lot of celebrations next week, but I just want to highlight how fortunate we are to have the teachers we do in this district, and I hope they feel appreciated.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Well, don't forget, there's the coffee with the superintendent, which will be held on Friday, May 13th at Nettingham at 10 a.m. And you need to go and pre-register that you're going to come, and pre-register if you have any questions or items that you want to discuss. And that is linked online, so you can do that from the comfort of your own home, so we know what you want to discuss when you come into us.
I'm sorry, where is that sign up?
The sign up is on the website, spfboe.org.
Got it.
Any other comments? So at this time, can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mrs. Winkler.